Happy Friday! It's the Prop Queen Pod taking you until 6 p.m. Eastern Time here on the show, getting you ready for the weekend. It was a great night last night in the NFL. Major League Baseball screwed us, but it's fine. A good show today. Mid-Major Matt joining us as he always does on a Friday. We're going to talk college football. We've got a good look at some NFL props that are coming up this weekend and Major League Baseball as well. And then Kelly in Vegas, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. She's going to join the show and talk college football, NFL. Very excited to get Kel on. It's probably the last time that I will see Kelly until I'm with her on vacation, which is coming up soon. Last night was really fun. I really enjoyed going. I think it was like 6-1. And obviously, I was sweating out Aaron Rodgers until the end because Aaron Rodgers, I accidentally bet twice. You guys remember here on the show that I wasn't sure. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I bet this. And then I couldn't find it anywhere. Pickett wasn't refreshing. I couldn't tell if I had it bet or not. So I bet it again because I was like, well, I'm going to be pissed if this hits. Then I look at Pickett again and I did bet it. So I had two Aaron Rodgers props for over 217 and 219.5. So we cashed on that last drive. Thank goodness. As for the Seattle Mariners, screw them. Screw the Mariners. That team sucks. They don't suck. How does Luis Castillo come out as an ace like that? Like when it happened to Max Fried in the Yankees, I'm thinking, like, is he really an ace? He pitched like one this year, but like, is he really an ace? He's not Garrett Cole. If Garrett Cole came out like that in a game that like we saved you to stay home, like Luis Castillo, they did it right. They're the team I feel the worst for. They deserve a World Series. Seattle does all the right things. They made all the right moves in the offseason. They always go up and get the right acquisitions at the trade deadline. They made the right move by keeping Castillo out until he was home because that's his home road splits. Brewers should have done it with Freddie Peralta, but that's fine. So I like the Mariners at -120. But here's what's crazy. I knew yesterday either we're getting a good deal on the Mariners at -120 or it was a horrible decision to take the Mariners because they shouldn't have been -120. The Mariners should have been -135, -140 with an ace on the mound against Max Scherzer, who threw a freaking gem. Who would have thought that was coming? Who would have thought Max Scherzer, who hasn't pitched in like 3 weeks, Max Scherzer comes out and throws amazing. And I love that he pulled a Mike Mussina, and I love that he told John Schneider to get back in the dugout because he's finishing that inning. I loved it. We need more pitchers passionate like that. Go Max Scherzer. Now, granted, I can't wait to fade him in his next outing. Sure, it's not going to be the same. But he was fired up, and I'm proud. I'm happy. That was his 500th career start. That's impressive. And good for Schneider for leaving him in the game. So Toronto has been absolutely raking. The Blue Jays are hitting like 300 right now in the playoffs. I mean, they've got the craziest numbers. Vladdy is absolutely dealing. So the Blue Jays are batting 301 this postseason. It's the highest average by a team in the postseason since 2007, the Red Sox. Vladdy 6 for 9, 2 doubles, 2 homers, 4 runs scored over the last 2 days. It's insanity. He leads MLB in homers this postseason. They're dealing. I said it yesterday. If the Mariners couldn't win with Castillo on the mound, this series flips. Said it on the Ringer yesterday with John Yastrzemski. Raheem Palmer said it too. If you believed in the Blue Jays, yesterday was your chance to get the Blue Jays to win the series. Or like it was plus, I forget, like I think it was 2-1, 3-1 for them to win in 6. Mariners are now series dogs, plus 105 I saw. Short series dog, but still. Toronto now favored to win the series around -120. Makes sense. That's a good. Mark, what'd you get for Vladdy MVP? It's a good bet. And here's what's crazy. Tonight, the Dodgers have a chance to sweep the Brewers. And guess who Milwaukee is throwing? Jose Quintana? Like, that is who you're going to go to in a season-deciding game on the road in LA? That's your best option? What did we think with the Brewers? Brandon Woodruff was coming back. Like, come on. This team has no pitching. I don't know how anyone thought that this team could beat the Dodgers with this pitching. Granted, the Dodgers pitching hasn't been reliable until now. Their starters have been great. Starting pitching for the Dodgers have really exceeded expectations, but here's the thing. I'm taking the AL to win the World Series. We haven't had a repeat winner in years in Major League Baseball. The Dodgers starting pitching is overachieving right now. I don't know if I could trust them to do it again in a World Series. Can't say that their bats are like overly impressive. Let's bring on Mid-Major Matt to talk about it like he does every Friday. Mid-Major Matt, I cannot believe that tonight we're getting Jose Quintana.
Jose Quintana. Oh my goodness. When I saw that announcement, I was like, this tells me why Milwaukee wasn't going to win this series from the start. I mean, look, we've had two openers, Freddie Peralta and Jose Quintana. Like that, you just can't win a series using that.
No. Did it drive you to bet anything?
So I was doing my radio show, so I didn't have a chance to completely look, but like so Quintana's outs are 8.5. I mean, part of me thinks he can go 3 innings, but part of me also thinks that he may not last the first inning.
Well, and they have to play again tomorrow if
correct.
They do win.
Correct. I'm looking now.
Not that it matters. Every manager says all hands on deck in an elimination game, but I mean, they still would have to play tomorrow, so they might. I don't know. Like, I don't trust Quintana in LA.
No. I'm looking at the numbers. There's a lot of Dodgers have good numbers. I'd almost look, and I didn't play this yet, and I'll consider after we're done. Over 2.5 runs, first 5 innings. I mean, that seems like a decent bet for me. I mean, we don't have to worry about shadows tonight. Thank you, shadows, for our glass now bet. By the way, I have to tell everybody, and I hate to air out laundry, and I know you talked about our text chain yesterday. So it's the first inning. And I don't usually like to watch games where I have K-prop bets because I just can't.
It's the playoffs, though. You have to.
I know, I get it. And so I get a text from my partner here in crime, and she says to me, "I hate Tyler Glasnow," or something like, "I hate Glasnow." And I'm like, I look up at the game cast.
It was the second inning.
Yeah, it was the second inning, and I'm like, "Can you please settle down?" Because like it's the second inning, and then of course, he has 5 straight strikeouts, and we win the bet easily. And then all of a sudden, all I see from you is yay, we win. And I'm like, come on, like you wanted to jump ship after the second inning.
He was getting into jams in the second, and I know that is the one pitcher that the manager of the Dodgers, Dave Roberts, will pull gladly. And he did. Glasnow was pissed to come out of the game.
Yeah, well, he's like a child in that respect. But I mean, he was a child that got me my outs over and the K-prop over. But I just thought it was funny that the first inning, and it wasn't even that bad of a first inning. Like it was a bad first inning.
Second inning.
Yeah, but he wasn't going to get pulled. He wasn't going to get pulled that quickly, and so you worried me. But then the guy settled down. Like, look, I'm sad we don't have the same thing tonight. Like, I wanted another Shadows Day with the Dodgers tonight at 6:08, but unfortunately they switched things, and we found out Seattle doesn't have the Shadows issue, which is why we've attacked some Toronto props for this game coming up tonight.
And last night, just before we get to tonight, you also, and I gave you a shout out on the show, you liked Max Scherzer to go over 1.5 walks, and it was great value. I forget what you got it at. Close to 2-1, right?
Yeah, it was plus 178. I was stunned. I mean, so I don't usually look at the walks market, but of course there's only 2 games. So I'm like, all right, let me take a look. And, whenever I see a plus 178, I'm like, all right, I got to take a look at it. And Scherzer, the last couple starts had 2 walks. And I actually looked, the Mariners have drawn the most walks against right-handed starting pitching in the postseason so far. And we're a top 15 walk percentage versus righties during the regular season. I'm like, all right, let me take a chance. I know Scherzer, the number's probably this way because Scherzer's not going to last long, but 2 walks in the first inning, I wish I would have put more on it, but I just was so unsure it was going to hit.
Yeah, I definitely wish I put more on some other props, and it ended up being that Aaron Rodgers, the one that came down to the wire, was the one I accidentally bet twice. But anyway, tonight we've got more Major League Baseball on the slate, and you've got a couple of props today. So let's start with that Toronto team total over in the first 5, 1.5. I know it's juiced to minus 125. I bet this with you. I agree with you. However, don't you feel it's a little fishy? It's only 1.5.
No, I mean, it's been 1.5 all season, a series for the most part. And I lost on it in game 1. I think I hit it in game 3 as well. So I'm just going to look. Toronto's offense is just so good, and they've already seen Bryce Miller. So like, it's not like one of those things where they saw him a month ago, a couple weeks ago. They literally just saw him. I trust this lineup. Several hitters have good numbers against him, and it's 1.5. It does seem a little trappy, but it's on the road, and Bryce Miller was so good the first time through, and I want to back the hot offense here. And if you're going to give me 1.5, I'm going to take it.
I do think it's a good number, and at least it's not like a -105, -110, because that might have been more fishy. At least juice is on the over. I am just a little afraid that this number is so low. And I even wrote in the PropQueen.com newsletter that Matt gets a shout out because I did really want to do the over 1.5 earned runs for Bryce Miller. But I know what you said. Don't do it.
I mean, look, I can't. It's a strategy that people, because and you know what, I would say you should do that if we knew he was going to go past 5 innings, and that way maybe he would have given up runs in the 6th inning. But like, I don't think Bryce Miller's going past 5 tonight, so I feel like that's how you take advantage of that first 5.
Speaking of Miller, Jimmy Light, I don't know, like Jimmy Light, Miller Light. It kind of sounded funny in my head. Under strikeouts,
2.5. I mean, that's 2.5 is one bad umpire call away. I think Springer strikes out against him, maybe in the first inning. And then there's usually one guy like in the back end of the lineup who will strike out, and then one bad umpire call and you lose that bet. Now, look, not a lot of people have had more than 2 strikeouts against them this postseason so far, but 2.5 is just such a thin margin for error that I just usually won't take that.
Yeah, I can't get to the window on a 2.5. 3.5 was even cutting it close. We hit the unders on 4.5, and we barely hit that under 4.5 with Kirby the other day. So I'm going to count my blessings there against Toronto. Shohei Ohtani over 15.5 outs, -109. I love the explanation. No reason to stop taking Dodgers starting pitchers outs overs. Ohtani hasn't actually gone over this yet at home. I know he hasn't pitched too much this year, and it is his home playoff debut as a pitcher. So Ohtani over 15.5 outs. Why is this the first time this year in front of the LA crowd?
I mean, we saw yesterday. I mean, he used a lot of bullpen yesterday, which is too much for him. What was it? 3 1/3 innings of bullpen yesterday. And look, I just feel like with a 3-0 lead, you can let him stay out there a little longer. Now, I mean, remember, he was not good in the start against the Phillies, the first or second inning? And then he stayed in and he finished 6 innings. And so, like, I think Dave Roberts trusts Shohei to be able to get through any sort of early trouble that he may have. And yeah,
is there something to this game being they're up 3-0, they still have to play tomorrow if they have to play again, and you're up 3-0. Like, why not leave him in unless they really just want to close it out that badly? But even so, your bullpen sucks.
Right. Who are you going to? I mean, Emmett Sheehan, I guess. Is he the guy that does the rest of the 5th and the 6th inning before you put in the rest of the guys? Like, I guess he's been hot and cold this postseason. He's had some good outings and some bad outings. I just think, look, it's a trend that I keep playing. Shohei has paid it off against the Phillies, and that was after a bad inning, and he had 9 strikeouts. And look, he's stretched to about 90 pitches. He went 91 in that 6-inning start in Arizona at the end of the regular season. He went 89 against the Phillies. So I think they smell blood in the water, and they just go for it here and let Shohei do it. Now, I see on DraftKings it's 16.5. It's so funny because this morning it was 15.5. Last night when I went to bed, it was 16.5. So like, they're going back and forth between 15.5 and 16.5. So make sure to have yourself a different sports book that might have the 15.5 available.
I do worry about the Brewers. I know that they have been terrible. I know they've lost. I think it's like, oh my gosh, I think they're in double digits now for road playoff games lost in a row. But their bats were the best on the road this year. I just keep waiting and thinking I'm going to be on the wrong side of the Brewers getting hot in one game.
I get it, but you can't be scared of that. I mean, the Dodgers have the best pitching in baseball, and they have a ton of it, and they have an aversion to putting in the bullpen. And so, how do you take care of that? You let Ohtani go. I mean, look, if this one doesn't work out, I'm going to probably go back to Blake Snell over his outs once again. Like, I just feel like I'm going to keep trying. And for now, it's been a very good bet. It's won all 3 times so far. So, you basically say, all right, I made a profit in the first 3 games. If I lose the 4th game, but win the 5th game, you come out ahead by a lot.
College football. We had some games last night. You know me, I'm so bad at keeping up with college football. Do we have anything tonight?
We do. I have a play on there.
1, 2, 3, 4 games tonight. Anything you like tonight?
So I'm going to give out my favorite bet.
Nebraska, Minnesota.
My favorite bet in college football. And so look, before we talk about it, and this is much like when we talked about the Castellanos under 3.5 pitches, and that was a fun bet to ride for a while. And now Castellanos is going to be available apparently, which is awesome. One less Philly for me to not like in the team. But this is a bet that's hit a lot. If you follow me on Twitter, the last 3 years has been a very profitable bet. If you look at Nebraska first quarter so far this season, they've played 5 FBS opponents. They played 1 FCS opponent. That one doesn't count. 31 points have been scored in the first quarter of the 5 FBS games total. So you divide that out, that's about 6 points per quarter. Last year in 13 games, 94 points were scored in the first quarter of Minnesota games. 2023, it was 125 points in 13 games. So Minnesota is one of these teams that still kind of huddles. They don't go as fast as everyone else, and they have a really good defense. And so this is a bet that I've played. If you follow me on Twitter, if you follow me on Action Network, I've played it almost every game this year, and it's hit a lot. So it's under 10.5 points in the first quarter. Now, it's important to get the 10.5 because it's 9.5 in a lot of places, and a touchdown, a field goal, you lose. Whereas if you pay the extra juice and you get a touchdown, a field goal, you win. And I'm also going to say, because I know if it loses tonight, everybody's going to say, well, you told everybody to take it. It's not a guarantee. Fluke kickoff return for a touchdown could throw everything off. But I'll say this, last week, Purdue scored in like 3 or 4 plays. They went up 7-0 with like 14 minutes left to go in the first quarter. No one scored the rest of the first quarter. So it's just a bet I like to play. It's no guarantee, but I really like the first quarter under in Nebraska, Minnesota. Make sure to get 10.5 because that gives you touchdown and field goal protection.
I love that David thinks that. Appreciate Matt always sharing his plays. I know the newsletter gives more, but his daily posts are helpful when putting the plays together. So yeah, you guys could follow on the Mid-Major Matt newsletter at thepropqueen.com. It's like $6 and you can get all this information going into the weekend. What can people expect this weekend, Matt? What are you looking at?
Well, I mean, obviously we look at spots, and as I always like to say, spots are really good, but they're not a guarantee either. I mean, we've talked about some tremendous spots, and they haven't hit. So it's just something I like to point out to people. I'm going to try and put together, if I find any buy lows or sell highs. I didn't see any the first time through, so that's not in the newsletter right now, but I'm going to see if I can find one and send it to you for the newsletter maybe tomorrow morning or whenever you decide to send this one. But the letdown game of the day tomorrow is Auburn and Missouri. And I don't know, the reason why it's the game of the day for letdowns is because they're both going to be hungover. Auburn lost to the officials and to Georgia last week. It was a brutal way to lose. It was a huge game. Auburn's not great as it is, and to lose the way they did, the officials basically handed Georgia a lot of points in that game, and they lost. Missouri, who has been home every game so far this season, came off their bye week and lost at home to Alabama. So both Auburn and Missouri lost at home off of bye weeks to Georgia and Alabama. Huge game, to say the least. Now they play each other in the Plains in Auburn. It's Missouri's first road game of the season. I don't want to try and guess between 18, 19, 20-year-olds who's going to get over last week's disappointment, but that is kind of the letdown bowl. I'll say this also. If you're looking at Maction, Bowling Green last week had a huge rivalry win over Toledo. And it's a game that we talked about last week. On Bowling Green's campuses, they X'd out T's in any building that had T's in them because it was Toledo week. Just like how, Ohio State X's out M's on their campus. Whatever, it didn't matter because Michigan's been better lately. So Bowling Green is exciting off of the rivalry win over Toledo. They are hosting Central Michigan coming off their bye week. I really like Central Michigan's coach. The weather is going to be nasty, potentially wind and rain, which I think will play well for Central Michigan, who runs the ball nearly 70% of the time already. I think if Bowling Green's even slightly hungover, Central Michigan could be the play, maybe a sprinkle on their money line. But I like the Chippewas tomorrow on the road against Bowling Green in the rain, potentially after the Falcons beat Toledo.
We love a rainy game. We also love the Ivy League. Jamie34 wants to know, do you like any Ivy tonight? Your favorite?
I know. I should. And maybe next Friday I will come better prepared for that because I know we've gotten that question before. I just don't bet a lot of FCS football only because I don't know a lot of FCS football. Obviously, oh wait, there's no Ivy Leagues tonight. Nobody's playing there's no FCS games tonight. So there is no Ivy tonight.
Well, what about at all this weekend?
Oh, well, I was hoping you wouldn't get to that. There is one FCS FBS game tonight. Tomorrow, Oregon State is hosting Lafayette. Lafayette can score a lot of points. We talked about this in the Thursday newsletter where we pointed out, we talked about the Tulsa game and we talked about this game. Oregon State fired their coach, so there's going to be a bump potentially for them, especially if they didn't like their coach. Lafayette, long road trip out to Oregon State, a 10 o'clock start time. Lafayette's got a solid offense. I wouldn't play a lot on this game if you play it at all, but I kind of lean towards the over here. Lafayette's defense isn't great, but I think they can score some points on Oregon State. Don't love it. Don't make it one of your best plays of the day, but probably maybe a small lean to the over in the only FCS FBS game tomorrow.
How about these big games coming up tomorrow? I know that we've got like the Tennessee game. We've got Georgia. Any of those spots that you feel any of the favorites could be faded, or do you like them?
So I think that would be probably better for your next guest. Kelly probably pays attention. I mean, listen, if you wanted to ask me about, the royal rivalry, JMU and ODU, I can give you more.
Okay, we'll take it. You know, what do you like?
So I went to the JMU game last week. They played Louisiana.
You went to the game.
I did. I went to Harrisonburg, Virginia, a lovely campus. It is actually one of the most.
No, I know. My old boss went there. He loved it.
Really? Your old boss went to JMU?
Yeah, he did.
It is a gorgeous campus. They are one of the best defenses in the country. They are like top 5 in yards allowed. Now, some people will say that JMU's played nobody. They held down Louisville pretty well defensively outside of one bad play at the end of the fourth quarter that kind of cemented things for Louisville. I think this is a lower scoring game. I think this is a correlated bet. If somehow you like ODU, you believe in Colton Joseph, you think last week was a mirage, which I do, and you think they're going to go into Harrisonburg and win, you're probably going to take the over because I don't think ODU wins a lower scoring game. If you like JMU in this game, it's going to be a defensive struggle. JMU's offense is like the Eagles' offense. JMU has these drives where they move down the field and everything looks great. And you're like, how do they not score every drive? And then they'll go the next 5 drives and they won't do anything. And they'll say, defense, save us. And so far this season, the defense has saved them for the most part. So I don't know how much JMU is going to score in this game. I don't know how much ODU is going to score in this game. It feels like a lower scoring game. I like JMU like 21-20. I think it's a tight game. By the way, the students need to stay all 4 quarters. Like half the students left at halftime last game when I went to it. And I guess it's a problem in any college campus, but like,
yeah, everyone used to leave Penn State games. I never understood it.
Well, I just don't understand. Like, you should commit 3 hours.
Well, I understand. I know what they're doing. I used to sit in the Greek life section because I was in a sorority, and everybody by the end of the third quarter was leaving because they wanted to go get into the frat party.
Right, but they can have the frat party after the game.
I know. I stayed.
Especially if
that's
it's a
why
new
I hated
game.
the sorority.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand that. So I look, and I know you can't lock the doors. That's fire safety. You know, you can't do that. But like,
I'm trying to get a new law to lock the doors of stadiums so kids can't get out.
I mean, technically you could climb over the gate still if something happened. But I get it. You can't lock the doors. I also thought, what about selling second half tickets to people? Like, okay, you don't want to come the first half, come the second half, pay half price, whatever. But like, anyway. I like JMU this week. I think it's going to be a fun game. I think you throw out what happened last week. ODU clearly wasn't focused. They had 5 turnovers. They lost the game at Marshall. By the way, we gave out Marshall last week, so that was a win. I throw that out. But this is going to be arguably one of the most fun games of the day, JMU and ODU. By the way, also the interesting thing for this game, yesterday, so JMU was favored by like 1.5 for most of the week. Yesterday, it flipped over to ODU minus 1.5. Then like an hour later, it flipped back to JMU minus 1.5. Now it's JMU minus 2.5 across the board. So some syndicate must have given out JMU or something, and all the followers must have jumped on it. But I think the Dukes win the game. I think their defense is just going to be up to task. This has been a very close rivalry, and I think it's going to be a very fun game. ESPNU, tune in tomorrow, 3:30, ESPNU. And then when you enjoy the game, you can thank me.
You should be the salesperson for JMU football. JMain34 says he doesn't mess with football, but college basketball he likes. When do you start college basketball capping for those futures?
See, at first, I wish the books would have college basketball win totals. First off, there's 300 plus teams, so they would never do it because they would get beat on something. Because I would find like that Big Sky school or like that MEAC school that I really like and would kill the books over it. So they'll never do it. I'll do my college basketball research more starting this week. We have about 3 weeks. It's the first week of November, so we still have some time. But the college basketball will start revving up a little bit more. Right now, I'm just an A10 ACC guy, but I'll get the rest of this stuff down. We'll find our mid-major, and we'll have our official team like in a couple weeks that we're going to ride. It's been Toledo for the longest time, and then the end of last year, we just faded Bellarmine because their defense was terrible.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
So we'll find something, and we'll talk about it on the show, but I'm not quite there yet.
Okay. We'll get there in a little bit. Mid-major Matt, thanks as always for coming on a Friday. Good luck to those bets, and I'll see you on Monday.
Sounds good.
And make sure to give Mid-Major Matt a follow on social media at Mid-Major Matt. And you can also follow his newsletter at thepropqueen.com. It's the college football newsletter from Mid-Major Matt, and you get all his information. Now, if you do look at my social medias, you will see that my best friend is – I haven't seen her in a while, but I don't know where this next segment's going to go. And I hope that it's going to be what we talk college football and NFL, but I don't know. But it's a Friday, so who cares? My best friend Kelly in Vegas joining the show, and I know tonight that she's going to be sitting at a bar watching baseball, right?
No, why would we talk about anything? It's football season. What are we going to talk about?
The baseball playoffs are on. Don't you want to watch the ALCS, the NLCS?
Not really. I don't have anything left alive. Hit a couple of win totals, lost a couple of win totals. Baseball season was boring, like expected. Football season is here. College basketball season is right around the corner. Actually, it was funny. Somebody texted me last night. Kel, do you like any NBA regular season win totals? Do you like any NBA futures? And I was like, no. And he was like, what? And I go, do you think that I want to bet on guys who don't give 110% effort? Do you think I want to bet on guys who fake injuries and sit out? Do you think I want to bet on teams that don't care night in and night out and coaches who rest players? And then, oh, by the way, we don't find out until 14 minutes before tip-off. No,
LeBron's already out the first month of the year.
I'm just over it. I got to focus on what I'm good at. And then right now that's NFL, which is insane to say, just completely insane.
Well, that's because the dogs are barking. I mean, primetime dogs have been fantastic.
I'm not only playing dogs. I laid it with the Broncos this week. I laid it with Seattle this week. I laid it with the Lions this week. So it's not like I'm only playing dogs, but yes, the barking dogs are helping significantly.
I agree with you on the Lions, by the way, at -5.5. I just feel like that secondary, even though it's banged up, the Bucs have no receiving core.
Yeah, but they haven't had any receiving core. And here's the real reality. When I have to pick every single game on the board for one of the contests that I'm in, literally every single NFL game is so tough to do. But it's been better than if I just pick 5. So I said this earlier on Wager Talk today, and Andy was like, no way. And I said, yes. And then I just sent it to a different group chat. I am 56-38. That is almost 60% on the NFL season where I have to pick in this contest every single game. And I think it's because when you have to pick every single game, you just have a slight opinion on some others and they just happen to go your way versus, all right, I've spent all this time. This is why I like the Saints. This is why I like the Titans. This is why I like all these garbage football teams. And then those are the ones I decided to play in the super contest. Like, how completely asinine is that?
But I kind of like the Saints this week at +5.5.
I love
running back Kamara against the bad
I think they're gonna win the game. As a matter of fact, 5.5 is my favorite underdog spread. That's why I was on the Bengals last night.
Why? I heard you say that on Bet On It, by the way, at Wager Talk, which everyone should check out. Why 5.5? Okay. I hate that number.
So Chris from Fade You said this in our group chat like 3 years ago, maybe. And I was like, what is this kid talking about? And he's like, Kelly, 5.5 point underdogs win outright all the time. And I'm like, what? 5 is such a dead number, right? Like there's this whole argument about all of these dead numbers. 5 is happening more than it ever has happened before. Last night's game could have landed 5, by the way, if Aaron Rodgers went down and scored. That being said, I find it to be really, really interesting because I've been paying more attention to what dogs have been winning outright. And he's absolutely right. So that 5.5 point spread is it's just tricky enough because it's usually involved with a bad team. Last night, the Bengals, right? we saw it on Monday night with the Bears. Bears were 5.5-point road dogs at the Commanders, won the game outright. I didn't want anything to do with the Bears. John Murray gave them out with Sammy P on chicken dinner, so I bet it. It's like, all right, I'll join you guys. A little Monday Night Football action. But it's been really interesting to kind of like see that whole progression and then also see where the lines are moving off key numbers this year. We just saw a 6.5 pop up on the Pats. And I thought, oh boy, I'm praying for all of you that put in Pats and Survivor.
I am not. I know everybody's all in on the Pats and the whole revenge angle.
I get it.
It's just a little too public for me, and I'm not buying it. And also, are you like the line move now as well, as you said? It's kind of fishy.
Well, it's definitely fishy first and foremost, but yes, everybody loves a good narrative, right? Mike Vrabel headed back to the team that fired him. Hey,
and also just fired their head coach.
Exactly. If you don't think the Titans aren't going to be a little rejuvenated after that and be like, it was that guy. I mean, there are still some veterans on that team. There are still some gamers on that team. Yeah, Cam Ward, not the greatest by any means, but he showed some flashes week 1. I do wonder, had that game gone a little bit differently, maybe his confidence would be a little bit better. You have to remember, his receivers dropped a ton of passes to start the season, and it's just kind of been that trickle effect. They did get the nice win, though, at Arizona. I thought that they would follow it back up with the Raiders. Again, I still stand by the Raiders. Friends don't let friends lay points with the Raiders. Okay, great. The Raiders covered. Congratulations to everybody that had them. I had a nice CLV trophy on the Titans +6. I'm not taking the Titans this week, but I can tell you right now, every money line parlay, every teaser, and everybody in Survivor is going to be on the Patriots. And that is usually a recipe for disaster. Mm-hmm. Now, the past 2 seasons, I think it was Drew Martin said it on The Hustle or something a couple of years ago. He's like, hey, the books are getting chalkier, right? There is this like all of a sudden this parity between these NFL teams. Well, guess what? Now we're looking at it again 2 years later after 2 square years of NFL. And here we are again. Now, all of a sudden, that cream is no longer rising to the top, and these NFL teams are on an equal playing field. So I find it very interesting to see how the NFL has evolved. They changed the rules, whether it's the kickoff, the PAT, and yet the point spread is a great equalizer. And now the books are back to making money.
Another team that's public this week, and even though I have to check the bet slips, but just public amongst people I've spoken to. I've been on a bunch of shows this week, and our group chat, everybody loves the Chargers. I like them too. I am now worried that everyone I've spoken to loves the Chargers at -1.5.
So we can call it the sharp square play, right? Like that's what we call it at Wager Talk when everybody's on the side. Yeah, that's not fun. Hey, I have been on the Colts bandwagon since week 1. I love this Colts team. I bet them -6.5 last week. I heard Kyler Murray was going to be out, and luckily I came back in on the other side and had the Cardinals. So I got to save a little bit of face there because I was real heavy knowing that Kyler Murray wasn't going to play. I hammered that. And I thought, you know what? Sit back. As VR would say, sit back. You did your job, Kelly. Who cares? You got the
Can you
best
do that? You don't do that.
Lines 10. You got 3.5 points better than the market. And I thought,
you don't
Jacoby Brissett? Is he really a 3.5 point different from Kyler Murray? No, he wasn't. And in fact, maybe he should have been the starter. But back to that Colts team, I do like Daniel Jones. I do think this team has a great running game. My problem kind of is this Chargers team has kind of had some like wonky weeks, right? They lose to the Giants. They're in a rock fight last week with the Dolphins. They get out of there with the win because, they have a great kicker. By the way, if you have him on your fantasy team, kudos to you. That's how I lost last week, Ariel.
Oh, great.
Yeah, because the kicker scored like 17 points or something asinine. It's okay. I joined Brett's family's fantasy league, and I'm like, oh, $250. Fine, I'll join. Like, I'm going to kill all of you. Want to guess what my record is?
Bad.
1-5. You want to guess what Brett's record is? 0-6. And we play each other this week. It is like the toilet bowl. I have lost 3 weeks by less than a point. Every time I lose by less than a point, I put on Instagram.
That always happened in my fantasy team, like my fantasy team in my family league too. I always sucked in that league. I don't know what the jinx is.
I don't know. As long as we win the big money league, which I have people who are all in charge of that, not me. I did get to have a couple say, I told him not to draft Harrison Butker, And then I told him why, and they told me I was crazy. And needless to say, Eddie Pinheiro is now our kicker. I was like, are we going to listen to me yet? That is not Harrison Butker's year. I'm telling you, just listen to the stars every once in a while. I'm not that crazy.
You have to listen to the stars. Now they think that you're getting political, but it has nothing to do with politics. It has everything to do.
I love Harrison Butker. What do you mean? You want to get political?
I'm saying people are going to think that way, and it has absolutely nothing to do with politics.
It has to do with his birthday and astrology. And if you guys watch,
Kelly and I are the people that ask a guy what your birthday is. Yes, we are those psychopaths.
So here's kind of the thing. Like Sammy P, Joe Ostrowski, and I do bet sweats. Well, we had the witch come on because they were like not a believer. And then when Sammy was at the wedding a couple weeks ago, he was like, what's the play? And I was like, it's the Chiefs. He's like, really? I kind of like the other side. And I was like, it's the Chiefs. Boom, write down your Ravens, go right down and score. Write down and score. And he's texting me. I'm like, okay, she said it's going to be a high scoring game. I sent you the cliff notes from her like hour-long astrology segment. And then of course, like all the things start to come to fruition. So yes, some of the witchy stuff is part of the handicap. At least there are certain people I'm not drafting on my fantasy team in certain years. Okay. That's what it is. I'm going to make a spreadsheet.
Like you.
I'm going to make a spreadsheet and I'm going to sell it on your website.
You this year. Can't draft Kelly, but we're going to listen to her
either.
Anyway.
But for some reason, I have been doing very well in the NFL. By all intents and purposes.
We knew the reason.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, anyway, yeah. Look, I like the Chargers. I'm not going to bet the Chargers with my hard-earned money, but there's a couple of spots where I played them in some contests. I think I played them in the Las Vegas Review Journal contest, and I got to play them in the pick every single NFL game. But yeah, I don't love that every single sharp person I know is on the Chargers. That's not a fun place to be. Let's see who else.
What about international games? How do you feel about those?
I never play those in Survivor. Chris and I lost. Packers were 14-point favorites, 13.5-point favorites in London over the Giants a couple years ago. They were up double digits at half and lost the game out. Maybe they're like 8.5-point favorites, but they were up double digits. I try to black out all of those losses because otherwise Chris and I wouldn't be friends. I don't like them from a Survivor perspective, but like the Rams laying points on a neutral field, what am I missing? Sure.
That's Jags, what I said.
Listen, Trevor Lawrence is lucky.
It feels so trappy to be getting 3 with a Jacksonville team that's always in London.
They're always in London. And look, I get it. Trevor Lawrence got sacked 7 times last week. It was not great, but I'm just not sold on this LA Rams team by any means. I wasn't sold on them to start the season, whether it was the rumors, the Matthew Stafford wasn't 100%. Now you got Puka Nacua who's hurt. I just don't love it. If I had 3 and a hook in a contest, everything is 3 flat. I would probably take the Jags. I don't love it. I'll tell you, I picked the Jags in the pick every game on the board one, but
it seems trappy.
It does. Jags was on my long list early. Jags looked just abysmal offensively last week. And usually when teams look really bad one week, I kind of like to back them the next. Or when teams look too good the week before, I'm looking at you, New York Giants.
Oh, well, let's talk about a team that looked bad the week before, the Philadelphia Eagles, and they're getting the Minnesota Vikings this week. I think that game's going to be a massive split because you've got the Vikings catching 2.5 at home. Seems like a decent teaser spot at least. And absolutely. I think you like Minnesota, right?
I do like Minnesota. Here's the real thing. There's a lot of problems right now in Philadelphia that nobody is talking about, right? Not only do you have a team that is, well, I guess you could call them banged up, right? But I think it's more like bad vibes. It's just kind of weird, right? They lose to the Broncos, up double digits, just piss poor loss. They go into New York just expecting to win that football game. The Giants and Cam Scatterboo run all over them. Jackson Dart down the field. I don't know how hurt Saquon Barkley is. Jalen Hurts can't seem to get on the same page as the receivers. You talked about fantasy. You know how I know because I got A.J. Brown on my fantasy team, and I'm like, somebody please trade him away from me because it is so frustrating. And now you want to lay points on the road with this team? This is a team 7-14 against the spread after a loss. I know Minnesota's coming back from 2 weeks in London, but they just had a bye week. Their defense is number 2. And in EPA, per play. I should have finished that thought before I got this. And then this morning I saw JJ McCarthy and I was like, oh God, no, please, no. Because I have so many teasers with the Vikings. And I took the 2.5 and I was like, please, dear God, no. It looks like it's going to be Carson Wentz. So we were talking about narratives Hello, Carson Wentz versus his former team. That's not a narrative. Everybody loves these storylines. The NFL is an entertainment company, right?
It is true. I forgot about the storyline with Carson Wentz and the Eagles. That makes sense. I didn't think about it. I think I'm going to tease the Vikings this week. Who's another good teaser leg? Your Broncos?
So I did not tease the Broncos because I could not find a 7.5. So I only have one out that has -110 teaser. So here's the big thing that I like to tell people. And Crack and I kind of went on this tangent on Monday. If you've got a local and he's charging -120 for teasers, tell him you want -110. Worst thing he's going to say is no. The reality, though, is all of these legal books are never going to get you the price on these teasers.
Nope.
So I am
everyone now is -135.
Exactly. And so I'm basically beholden to if this one guy who gives me -110 on teasers, puts up a 7.5, or if the game is at 1, for example, I wanted to tease the Colts. He's had it at 1 all week because he knows I'm going to go in there and just nail these teasers. So the ones that I do have in pocket, Dolphins, Vikings, Cowboys, Falcons. Now, Yanni always tells you on last call, wait till Sunday morning. And the last couple of years I showed a lot of discipline, but this year it doesn't matter.
No discipline.
It doesn't matter this year. If you bet them on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, the teasers are teasing, and they have been really, really good. I've had one losing.
But do we still like Dallas with Trayvon Diggs deciding to do something weird in his house and get Carson?
What was that about?
I don't know, but I really want to know the story.
I don't think we're gonna get to know the story. Probably. No.
He'll say he fell or something stupid.
Here's the reality: they're still one of the best defenses in the league. Number 3 in scoring. I think CD's gonna go. I don't know what you're seeing on your end. I don't have my odds logic screen open.
I saw CD was going.
Yeah, that's what I was assuming early in the week when I gave out Dallas. So here's the reality. I think Dak Prescott is playing at an insane level. He is not hurt. I still like Dallas. I like Dallas in the teasers. I think Falcons in a teaser. Speaking of how hurt teams are, I picked the Niners to win the Super Bowl 20-1. Felt great about it. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Even if Purdy comes back and Kittle somehow makes some resurgence here. I mean, he's been sitting on my IR, and I'm like, should I just drop him? But then there's nobody else to pick up, so it doesn't matter. And he just gets to sit there in that slot. But I just think that the 49ers kind of showed some promise there against the Rams, and then they're just...
No, it's just been an absolute decline. The injuries are just too much to overcome, especially on the defensive side of the ball where there's no hope anymore.
No Warner now.
Yeah.
No Nick Bosa. Those things are really tough. So to find a teaser spot, now you got me looking while we're sitting here because now I haven't looked today. Today's been kind of a crazy day. And so now I want to see if there is maybe a 1.5 here with the Colts because those things do happen. And some of the things that are really nice too, Ariel, that you're able to do is called open teasers. So sometimes I'll just tease all those teams and just leave a spot open and then fill them with somebody next week. Right. So if it is Sunday and, these teams have moved out of the teaser spot, then I can just plug and play with the following week. And sometimes those guys even offer spots where they already have the lines up for the following week. So you can take those after Sunday afternoon and Monday games if they happen to fall. So right now, let's see. Vikings still in play. Dolphins still in play. Patriots out of play, which is interesting because I did not tease the Patriots because he had him at 7 all week. I know that it did hit 7.5. Colts is now on the board and in play. Commanders, I was kind of hoping that maybe some Dallas money would come in. So I have Dallas on one side and then be able to tease the Commanders.
That's so typical you.
I know it is, but it's coming that way because Commanders is sitting right here at a 7. So hopefully I can get a 7.5 on the Commanders. Somebody wins the game by a touchdown. Kelly's very happy, right? Like those are the fun things.
Iris is happy. She's very happy we're on together right now.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Hi, Mom.
Love it. Hi,
I want to
Mom.
go to college football real quick.
Yeah.
I know it's Friday and we have to start drinking. So
I'm actually not drinking. I have another wedding. Before I see you in Aruba, I need a dry out. I need to lose like 10 pounds. I need to just
I just realized too that Aruba's in like a month for you.
Aruba is in.
It's like 3 weeks.
It's on November 7th. Relax. It's in
3
like
weeks.
3 weeks.
For you. Well, it's 2 weeks for me.
I got to go to Denver first for a wedding. And I look today and it's going to be like a high of like 55. I'm going to freeze my ass off.
And then you get to go to Aruba where your low is about 85. So Perfect. It's going to be a win-win. College football though this weekend. I know we've got some big games on the slate and you probably have your 3-dog your 3-dog parlay, but what are you looking at?
Yeah, I don't love this week. Hand up, did not play that much in college football. I have Louisville tonight plus 13.5. I was on Bet Online because I was checking some political stuff to see how much CLV I have in New Jersey. And I got, he's currently 3-1 to win New Jersey. I have him at 5-1 that I gave out. When was that? July? I think I was pretty drunk in New York City with Ariel and Carmine Bianco saying, you guys, New Jersey
is gonna
go red. Take the 5-1. Anyway, I got 5-1 in pocket. He's currently 3-1. But I found it really interesting because I looked and I was like, 10.5. What happened to the Louisville game? I bet on Wednesday and got a lot of steam here on Friday afternoon. So we'll see. I cannot advocate betting that at this point after moving 3 points. But I will say this. I think it is going to be less than a touchdown game. I think Louisville will be in the mix to upset Miami. Some of those Miami games wins don't look as good as they once did. Those Florida, those wins. But other than that, so my 3 underdogs, South Carolina, and it's the dog with fleas. The whole world's on it. Like you said, it is the sharp play of the week. Everybody likes South Carolina, and I'm going, damn it. I did take Mississippi State. I'm fading Florida. Too many points in the swamp. They want Billy Napier gone too. They do. Whether they want to admit it or not, they want him gone. And if he loses this game, I think it doesn't matter. He's gone anyway. I did take 3.5 with Maryland at UCLA. Can't quit the Terps now. I keep covering for me every week. They can't seem to find a win.
My dad's so happy about it.
I think this is an interesting spot because the whole world's going to want to bet UCLA off those back-to-back underdog wins. The hunter now becomes the hunted. And then I also ended up with VR on Arizona State plus 9.5. It's down to 7.5 because Sam Levitt is going to play for the Sun Devils. It's tough. Our producers, Kelly and Murray, just tweeted my clip from August 13th on Bet On It when I gave out Texas Tech 100-1 to win the national championship. And I'm like, yeah. And guess who didn't bet it? Because I literally got on a plane the next morning and flew to Ireland, came back, and I was like, I'm not betting Texas Tech at 100-1. But here's why I liked it. And I gave out Texas Tech over their season win total and Texas Tech to win the Big 12. So secretly, even though I did bet Arizona State money line, I'm like, but maybe they can just cover and not win because Texas Tech to win the Big 12 is going to be a much better proposition, and I need them to go over their season win total. The only other one that I was looking at, and the lines moved quite a bit, which is why I didn't put it in my parlay, is Washington. I'm not buying. Shannon Moore, it's not doing well. Not doing well there in Ann Arbor, and I have some concerns. Bryce Underwood, everybody's talking about how bad Arch Manning was 2 weeks ago, right? The Atlantic wrote this article. What's wrong with Arch Manning? Nepo baby. And then he goes in to the Red River shootout and beats Oklahoma. Yet nobody's talking about Bryce Underwood. Why isn't he good? Probably because he's 19 years old. And he got paid $1 bazillion. And the expectation level is so high now with these kids. I think he'll be fine. But I do think that this is a spot where Washington could go in there. And if they play like they did against Maryland, show a lot of grit, even though they were down 3 scores, I think that there's a real possibility Washington can win that game outright. Current line's 4.5. I took 6 in a lot of the contests, but truth be told, I really did not bet that much. I can give you guys.
How about the fired head coach Penn State narrative?
So a lot of people have been asking about that, and John Murray and I talked about it last night as well, because one of the questions in the mailbag was, how do you handicap this game? How do you set a line on this game? So obviously Drew Aller's injured, no James Franklin, but all the coordinators are still in place. So Andy Koltanicki was calling the plays all season long. Looks like he's going to still be calling the plays, right? I'm not sure how a Penn State team that is off back-to-back double-digit losses, who had expectations of college football playoff, national championship, Big Ten championship, all of the above, gets up for this Iowa game. I don't think they wanted James Franklin fired. I could be wrong, but he is. Now that he's gone, we're going to see kind of what happens. I want no part of it. I also don't like laying points with Kirk Ferentz. So I think it's a really weird spot. I know CT had us play Penn State +3 in the Westgate Super Contest College. And I said, yeah, you like it. Okay. That's the only way I could look in this one. Again, I'm not laying points with Kirk Ferentz in this spot. I don't know what to make of Penn State, and I'm not sure who the hell they're going to get as a coach, because Indiana went right out there, said, Kirk Cignetti, what do you want?
5 years, baby.
Shoved the money. And the reality is Penn State was a really undesirable job, just a few years ago. And
when I was there, when James Franklin came in for Bill O'Brien. Well, Bill O'Brien
came in first, and he was kind of there to like wash things a little bit and like settle everybody down and make it a little bit more. And James Franklin came in, and guess what? Apparently winning 10 games isn't good enough. And hand up, I've been bitching about K-State football all season long since they lost in Dublin. And winning 8 games in Manhattan, Kansas isn't good enough. And everybody says to me, Kelly, too bad. Who are you going to get that's better? And then I get pissed off because I don't have an answer. And I don't think Penn State has an answer either, Ariel. Who are you going to get that's better? Look at Nick Saban retires, right? They didn't force him to retire. He decides on his own. And they go get this kick-ass coach who was in the college football playoff the year before, Kalen DeBoer. And then week 1, he loses to Florida State, and everybody in Tuscaloosa is losing their mind. Who are you going to get that's better than James Franklin? Could have been Kirk Cignetti. It's not going to be. Dan Lanning's not leaving Oregon.
They're trying to pull Saban out of retirement.
Yeah, right. I mean, they have enough money. I just don't. I don't see this being a scenario where a coach is like, hey, I got a cush job right now, right? I can win 8, 9, 10 games. Everybody's happy. I'm making millions of dollars. I'm hitting that bonus. We may or may not get into the college football playoff. We got a good bowl game, and I get to go enjoy spring with my wife. I want to go to Happy Valley where there's no close airports. There's no like major cities nearby. There is the expectation level.
It's cows. That's it. There's cows.
And everybody makes fun of Kansas. I tried to go to Happy Valley with CT and Steve Thurston, who Steve's an alum. And I was looking at flights from Florida. I'm like, I can't even get there. I don't even know how I had to.
My dad, I think I might have told you this story. I don't know. Did you hear the story of how I got to the AFC Championship when they played the Patriots?
No.
So it was my freshman year of college, and the Ravens were in the AFC Championship to face. That was the year they won the Super Bowl, but that was going to Foxborough. My dad called me Friday, and he said, I have tickets, 10th row, 50-yard line. How can you get home? And I said, well, you should have told me this yesterday because the student bus only runs on Thursdays back home. Fridays, they don't run it. So I had to take a private car service because Uber wasn't a thing yet. I had to get a private car service to take me to Altoona, Pennsylvania, 50 minutes away, to take an Amtrak train that only goes back to Philly that then takes you to Penn Station. And I ended up getting home in time for my dad on Saturday to take me to Foxborough on Sunday.
Wow.
But like, that's how you have to get in and out of Happy Valley without a car. It's like the train is your best bet if you know.
I mean, at least Manhattan, Kansas has like a regional airport.
Right. No, yeah, Penn State doesn't have that.
I mean, last year I was hearing rumors, I don't know if it was true, that there was like some big party bus full of SMU donors who were like stuck in traffic.
Oh yeah.
And then they were down like 21-0 in the blink of an eye, and we're like, what are we even doing? Like, why are we even going?
Yeah, no, there was a whole video of that. Kelly in Vegas, thank you as always for joining the show. You're the best. I hope you have a great weekend. I can't wait to see you in a few weeks.
Yay!
See you, Cal. We've got Prop Queen Edges of the Day coming up now. Let me just tweet it. Prop Queen Edges of the Day in MLB and NFL. I'm going to do some NFL preview stuff as well for this weekend. So NFL props, Alvin Kamara over 45.5 rushing yards. He is getting the second worst run D in football, the Chicago Bears. So if there is any way that the Saints cover the game, which Kelly and I both feel they can and win outright, it's because of Alvin Kamara. So over 45.5 rushing yards, give him the football, let them maintain time of possession, and go over 45.5. I've seen it go up to 46. Jackson Dart under 17.5 completions. This is in plus money. He only went over this once this year. I know it's only been like 3 starts. However, getting a Denver D that applies the most pressure on quarterbacks this season. This is going to be one of the toughest matchups of the year for Dart, who has to now travel in altitude after coming off of a primetime massive win over his division rival, the Philadelphia Eagles, who, by the way, he has to face again next week. Terrible spot for Dart. Under 17.5 completions against the Broncos. Daniel Jones over 15.5 rushing yards. I love this one because he's getting a Chargers D that has allowed the most rushing yards per game to quarterbacks. And we know Daniel Jones likes to use his feet. And on the road in his last 10 games overall, he's averaging 18 to 19 rushing yards a game. Daniel Jones over his rushing yards, and that's a close spread as well. So to keep them in the game, He's going to have to use his feet. Looking at the chat. I'm under rushing. Okay. Anyway, Major League Baseball. So some Major League Baseball props that I was looking at. The only thing I actually really bet today was, like mid-major Matt said, going over 1.5 runs in the first 5 innings for the Toronto Blue Jays. I just like the Jays are putting up 21 runs in the last 2 games. They're batting .301 this postseason. The Jays, remember, also swept the Mariners in Seattle, so they haven't lost a game yet in Seattle. Miller's allowed an average of just over 3 runs per game in his last 10 home starts. He's gone over his earned runs allowed in 78% of home games. They're seeing Miller for a second time. So I'm going to go over here. Team total, first 5, 1.5 runs. I feel like it's very low. It's minus 125. I was leaning towards the over on Gausman, 5.5 Ks. Again, this game's starting in about 10 minutes. The afternoon shadows have been profitable. Reportedly, afternoon shadows aren't as bad in Seattle as they are in LA, but Gausman's in a good position. The Mariners are averaging just under 7 strikeouts a game against starters this postseason. The Mariners are hitting just .215 this postseason, and Gausman's punched out 6 or more batters in 6 of his last 10 road games. So you could look there also. Julio Rodriguez over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI. He's been hitting the ball really well in day games at home. He's averaging just over 3 hits, runs, and RBI per game in his last 10 afternoon games in Seattle. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., obviously, has been great. He's averaging just under 3 hits, runs, and RBI through 8 games since last year. Obviously, it scares me to bet the same thing every game of a series, but just letting you know that it's still worth noting that his numbers on the road in the afternoon have been very profitable. He's gone over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI. Vladdy in 7 of the last 10, 12 of the last 20 in the afternoon on the road. And in all 3 afternoon games that he's played in Seattle, Vladdy has gone over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI. Again, if you want to back the George Springer trend, his over half a run is at even money. It's hit in 4 straight games in Seattle. Springer's only 2 for 9 against Miller in his career, but he does have 2 homers against him. Again, same thing as Vladdy, kind of concerning that it's been hitting. So, all good things must come to an end. Cal Raleigh, he's gone over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI with 2 in his last 2 games against Kevin Gausman. He's hitting .471, going 8 for 17 with 4 homers in his career against Gausman. Eugenio Suarez, 7 for 24 with a double and a home run, 4 ribbies against Gausman. That's a .292 batting average. He hasn't driven in a run yet this series, but an RBI is plus 238 for Suarez. It's cashed 55% of his last 20 away afternoon games. There wasn't much that I loved in the NLCS tonight. I struggle with, Milwaukee has been really good on the road, but they've been bad now. And Shohei Ohtani, he's getting the start. It's his first career postseason home start. He's been pitching great. He owns a 1.40 ERA with 36 strikeouts in his last 5 starts. So I lean to the over 6.5 Ks. It feels inflated. He's punched out 8 and 9 in 2 of his last 3 home starts, 2 of his last 3 overall starts, which were on the road against Arizona and Philly. Through the last 3 games, Milwaukee struck out 10, 7, and 8 times. Ohtani could get over 6.5 Ks. He's been going over outs as well. He's had 18 outs in his last 2 starts. You could go that route as well. Dave Roberts used the pen to cover about 3 innings yesterday, so maybe he doesn't want to use the pen as soon today. They're up 3-0, so you have a little bit of wiggle room there for Ohtani. And then the only thing I would stay away from Ohtani tonight is the hits allowed. Shohei has allowed under 3.5 hits in 6 of 7 home starts, but remember, he wasn't going as deep into those games. Milwaukee's averaging just over 3 hits per starter, so this market's kind of spot on there. I'm reading the chat right now. This is funny. No, thank you. No, thank you. Even though Mad Dog and I have a great relationship, so on the Mad Dog days, it would be great. Mad Dog and I went toe-to-toe a lot on High Heat last year. It was a lot of fun. I love Mad Dog. He would come at me all the time if I was on a losing streak. He'd, Ariel, started out the year 0-9, but now we're on a hot streak. I'm like, thanks, Mad Dog. We had to throw out the 0-9 start from last year in April, in September. But it's okay. We love Mad Dog. He's great. He's really nice. I know he gets a bad rap, but he is a really good guy. He has to warm up to you because he has to trust you. So he was getting, last year when we did, it was 2 years ago, we started High Heat together. he was cautious because, he doesn't want to like offend a woman in sports, and I'm not offendable. It's very hard to offend me. He was very careful at first. And then when he realized he could make a joke and I could take it, and then I was able to dish it back, he goes, I'm good at taking jokes. He's like, I like jokes. You could dish it back. And as soon as I know that somebody can take a joke and dish a joke, then you're my best friend, which is why Kelly and I get along. People don't like Mad Dog. Like, people have said they don't like him. I don't know why. People don't. I think he's just very outspoken. He's been a radio voice. When you've been in media for so long, you've said so many things that you're going to create some enemies. It's bound to happen. But yes, I was on high heat with him for 2 years. So, and now that show's gone. He's with ESPN now. But Mad Dog is great. He is a legend. You guys are legendary. I'm so glad that you guys were on the show with me today. Thank you to Mid-Major Matt, Kelly in Vegas, for joining the show today. If you missed any of it, then you could go to the YouTube page at Prop Queen Sports, Prop Queen Media. Check out the YouTube page, subscribe and like. Trying to hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube by the end of the year. That would be fantastic. I know it's the small wins, but we just started it this year. So it means a lot that you guys are subscribing. I don't know what a super chat is. What's a super chat? I don't know what that is because I live stream through StreamYard. Ask Google. You got questions. Okay. Anyway, thanks guys for tuning into the show. Good luck to those bets tonight. I'm only tonight on the team total over 1.5 runs in the first 5 innings for Toronto. On Sunday, I already bet the Kamara over rushing yards, the Jones over rushing yards, and the under completions for Jackson Dart. So that's what I had. And yes, I am on Twitch over at Prop Queen Sports. Iris, mom, says she still has swag. So if anyone would like to get some Prop Queen swag, you could subscribe to props.cash. And if you subscribe to props.cash with promo code PropQueen, then you get 50% off your first month and you get some Prop Queen swag. So go sign up for props.cash. I do have a graphic if it helps you guys visually. You want it to be signed? I could sign it for you. Sure. I'm going to see mom this weekend. So we definitely could do that. I think this is the wrong graphic. Yeah, it's the wrong graphic. Okay, I'm going to get you guys the right graphic, but I'll do that on Monday. So mom has swag. Yes, mama prop queen. Yes, I will be on Last Call on Sunday on Wager Talk, so make sure to check it out. Subscribe to props.cash using promo code PropQueen. Get some swag and get 50% off the first month of props.cash. It's super useful. You guys have seen me use it here on the show for all those charts. Subscribe to the newsletter at thepropqueen.com. Subscribe to the YouTube page. It helps a lot for all the support. Good luck to those bets tonight, and hopefully we have another. Well, we won't have a 6-in-1 night tonight because I only have one bet, but hopefully I get a good dinner. If I get a good dinner, that's a win tonight. See you guys on Sunday on Last Call and Monday here on the Prop Queen Pod.